Greetings from Tokyo, Japan. In the previous session, the Inclusive Economy report was presented, and it's based on data, research, and evidence. What supports such data, research, and evidence is a person and people who aspire to cultivate and practice the values and virtues of human dignity and shared well-being, and who dedicate their lives to innovate and concretize new models of economy and integral human development. For over 2 decades, I've had the privilege of working with religious leaders, faith-inspired business leaders, civil society organizations, as well as diplomatic communities in conflict situations across the globe. As we all know, war, poverty, and environmental degradation are all interlinked. And as the Inclusive Economy report envisions, the building of trust and nurturing unity in diversity must be the foundation for the advancement of integral human development. In my 23 years at Religions for Peace, I witnessed diverse religious communities re-emerging their spiritual, moral, and social assets to overcome divisions and co-build multi-religious mechanisms for action, common action for peace. In the midst of brutal civil war in Sierra Leone, Christians and Muslim leaders co-built the Interreligious Council of Sierra Leone as a mechanism to overcome divides and work towards to end the war. The Interreligious Council of Sierra Leone was trusted by all parties, including the president of the country, the rebel group, and diplomatic communities as well, and served as a mediator in the peace process in Lomé, Togo. There was an important story of Christian and Muslim women of faith taking their courageous action to enter the rebel territory, to meet with the rebel leader, and successfully negotiated the release of over 50 child hostages. The Interreligious Council of Sierra Leone, an innovative, inclusive, and multi-religious civil society mechanism, has since responded to various national challenges, including HIV/AIDS, Ebola crisis, and currently COVID-19, in partnership with the United Nations and other key partners on the ground. This historic example and story demonstrate that once the trust among different communities is cultivated through such habit of collaboration, the country's multi-religious mechanism can address multiple challenges in a holistic manner, advancing human dignity and shared well-being. The virtues are habitual orientations to values, cultivating virtues of dialogue and collaboration, building inclusive models of human interactions in economics, politics, and inter-ethnic and inter-religious relations are at the heart of the mission of Nuova Global Foundation. Today, dear friends, we are blessed with 2 remarkable women leaders who dedicate their lives to bridging the divide and developing inclusive economic models. Allow me to invite our first speaker, Ms. Yemi Kerry from Nigeria. Ms. Yemi Kerry is the Chief Executive Officer of Hekabela Limited, a technology business transformation company. Ms. Yemi is the co-founder of Rising Tide Africa, women's movement initiated with a vision to increase women's participation in investing and promote education and investor mentoring across Africa. Miss Amy, permit me to ask, from your own experience, what do you think are key elements of inclusive economy and concrete ways to achieve such inclusive and integral human development?
Thank you, Erin, for having me here today. For me, when we're looking at inclusive economy, we tend to say something like leave no one behind. Leave no one behind, whether it's by your color, your race, your culture, your values, your age, your disability, background, whatever it is essential that there's a free and fair access to the economies of the world. And as such, I would just say, just give you a frame of what is happening globally and on the continent of Africa, around not leaving any one man behind. What we have culturally known over the years is that women are directly related to homemaking and child rearing for our ancestors and our generations far long. Over the last century and a couple of decades, however, women have begun to rise and want their voices to be heard. They have shown their skills in different ways. In organizations, becoming forebearers of very different industries, advocacy, politics, and all of that is beginning to happen on the continent. And the unique thing about this is that for the inclusive economy, there are different compartments of people that see things in different ways. So, for instance, we have those that, like the Boardroom Africa, it is Pan-African, and it was officially launched in 2016. And what they do is have a network of female executives in Africa, and they start to promote them so that they, and showcase their emotional talents and their exceptional talents. On the continent, in Nigeria, we have different groups. Now, we are also jumping onto the inclusion train. It is becoming obvious that not only are we canvassing for women to be on boards, we are canvassing for women to have a lifestyle. So there's a Gaia Women's Club, a business club, a social club for women to come and let their hair down. There's a Whisker, which is for successful women in careers. There's WIMBIS, which is women in management, business, and public service. However, what my story started with was that I became introduced into the ecosystem of investing. And while I was still doing my rounds, I used to go for pitches, and I noticed that there were always men pitching, and even if a woman comes up there, she's not showcasing her goods or services properly. And so one of those days I was in the room, one of the few women, I think we were about 3 women in a group of about 40 men. And this lady came in and had such a good product. And in having that product, she couldn't deliver. And I knew she had something. So I excused myself and I told them that she should give me some time with her and we will bring her back the next month, because these were monthly meetings. And surely we, 2 of us took her and coached her and, trained her about how to express yourself, the level of confidence you need to exhibit in front of investors. And surely when we brought her back, everybody wanted to invest. So I noticed that, look, there's something here. I could be doing this on the side. By the way, I run a technology company. So I could be doing this on the side while we continuously breed female entrepreneurs. And so it started off rising tide. And slowly but surely, we are now 68 members. We not only mentor and train and educate, but we take these young entrepreneurs and we invest our time and our capital on them. So we are a group of angel investors. So it metamorphosized into angel investing. And we are a group of angel investors, and we run by 4 pillars. One of the pillars is that of education. And for us in education, we are educating the investors and the female entrepreneurs. Why are we doing this? Because a lot of the women do not understand the concept of angel investing. But we at Rising Tide are trying to ensure that we're galvanizing enough women to become angel investors so that they can start seeing this as another asset class, apart from your financial instruments, real estate, jewelry, and see that, there is an opportunity to not only grow yourself and develop yourself, but you will be impacting on female entrepreneurs on the continent. So that is one of our pillars. The second part of our education has to do with the entrepreneurs. So we do a lot of education and training. Now we have created a curriculum because we understand, we began to see that there's certain elements of a business that need to be in place and that these female entrepreneurs need to understand. And so we have the curriculum that allows for them to, after going through about 6 weeks, they have their blueprint for their businesses. So we do a lot of education. We also then do mentoring in 3 areas. The first one is any and everybody. So we do a mentoring clinic. The second one is that we do mentoring for the people, the startups that we invest in. And then the third one is that we have a strategy session and do group investments. Why do we do this? Because we need to not only make sure that we are investing in these entrepreneurs, but to ensure that they are stable over a period of time. And it's just not that we're throwing in money, but we are developing them slowly but surely. The fourth pillar has to do with networking, is to canvas, to create opportunities, to create panel sessions, to create pitch sessions, to ensure that we create awareness about these entrepreneurs on the continent. I'm just proud to say that today we have invested over $1.5 million. We started off in 2018, and this year alone we have done $748,000. And we have invested in 23 startups portfolios. But the pride of it is that we are, in our own little way, a day at a time, closing out the gender gap and gender funding gap, and ensuring that we are creating a free and fair a platform for the female entrepreneurs. And that's my story.
Thank you so much, Ms. Jamie. Obviously, we all know that you're a successful business woman, and you are helping to further strengthen diversity and inclusion in business leadership in Africa. So all concrete and innovative examples you shared today, including the Boardroom Africa, Gaia Women Club, Women Management, Business and Public Services, and most importantly, your founding of Rising Tide Africa are important cases and stories to guide our efforts to develop new inclusive models of economy. So thank you so much for your sharing. Allow me to turn quickly to our second speaker, Ms. Elizabeth Walden. Ms. Elizabeth is founder of Project BIA, managing director of Groundwork Indy. She is focused on the redistribution of resources and elevating the voices of those directly impacted by societal inequalities. She has spent most of her career developing a community-based program for women impacted by the justice system, providing them with job training, mentorship opportunities, support services. Now at the groundwork in Elizabeth continues to bring together individuals of diverse backgrounds and cultures to build resilient, inclusive, and equitable communities. Ms. Elizabeth, permit me to ask the same question as I posed for Ms. Yemi. From your own experience, what do you think are key elements of inclusive economy and concrete ways to achieve a resilient and inclusive economy and integral human development?
Thank you, Reverend, and thank you everyone for having me here today. It's such an important conversation, and there are a lot of key elements of an inclusive economy that I can then talk about that sometimes are more data-driven. But what I'd like to talk about today are some of the more challenging indicators of an inclusive economy and characteristics of an inclusive economy, which are sometimes the more emotional side of life. So today I want to talk about this idea of losing, and I don't mean this in a competitive sense. I mean it more in the idea of allowing others to change us, which leads us to continually challenge our assumptions. So one story stands out to me regarding this. It was a few years ago when I was in the very, very beginning stages of starting Project Leah. And I had worked with a few women by that time. And I knew that in order for us to make the next leap and to grow, I would really have to retain staff that could be trained and take on more of the growing list of responsibilities that we were experiencing. So Kathy, she was referred to me by one of our partner organizations and had been going through a rough time around family relationships and housing, and had led to her involvement with our legal system, which I could go all into the systemic issues of the United States criminal justice system. But anyway, she was incredibly reliable, very, very talented and experienced worker. And she had brought many skills to the table. We, at Project Leah, we repurposed discarded materials into home furnishings and accessories. And Kathy was very creative, very artistic, had a lot of sewing skills. So she even developed some new products that we were selling. I started making plans to train Kathy and move her up within the organization. Over the next few months, Kathy reunited with her son. She confronted an unhealthy relationship. She got stable housing, and she started saving up money. So I was like, oh, this is wonderful. She started to take on more responsibility at work, and I was really excited for the way things were headed. So we hired more women into our program and really started to feel the momentum building. And in my head, I had these expectations that Kathy would, in a way, be the manager of new employees and take on the responsibilities of training and production. But one day, Kathy doesn't come to work, and I called her, and she told me she was moving out of town, moving out of the state. I would no longer be with us. It was very, very sudden, and I was left feeling very confused and abandoned and sad about this. And there was so much work that we had to do, right? We had just hired on 3 new participants into our program, and they needed onboarding and training, as well as some of the case management services we provide them. So I didn't hear from Kathy for a few months. I wasn't sure where she might be or even how she was doing, especially with the suddenness of her leaving. So a part of me worried about her safety even. But then one day I got a call from Kathy, and she apologized for the suddenness of her departure, but explained to me that it was what she needed to do at that time for various reasons. So Kathy had moved to Florida and found a place to live by the water, and which was something she was always dreamed of and had talked about, being in a warmer place. And this is something she had been empowered to do from being able to save money over the months that she was working with us and in stable housing. So she got a job she liked and was doing really well. And although my emotions of confusion and at times feeling betrayed by this situation, I look back on this experience and think this is one of the biggest successes we've had as an organization. To invite people into our space and empower them to follow their dreams. I realized I had made many assumptions and was creating an agenda for someone that did not consider what they might have wanted for themselves. And Kathy and I have since remained in touch with calls and letter writing and sometimes a surprise visit to Indianapolis. So it just, even through these experiences that challenge us sometimes emotionally in working towards an inclusive economy, it really goes to show that when we do build these relationships, that they are strong and they can withstand tension. So they're very flexible and can grow and evolve over time. And that are some of the key indicators, I believe, towards an inclusive economy.
Thank you so much for your really moving and inspirational stories. There was a profound wisdom in your sharing, the idea and the practice of losing. You have enlightened us by saying that to lose means our willingness to allow others to change us and challenge our assumptions. Cultivating and practicing such virtue in your interactions with Kathy is the foundation for an inclusive and resilient economy and a society which respects human dignity and shared well-being. So thank you so much for your sharing. Unfortunately, the time for our session is quite limited and in fact over, but thank you both for sharing inspirational stories full of practical wisdom and innovation, which highlights the critical elements of inclusive economy. I hope that we continue our telling and sharing of stories through our Nuova Global Foundation so that we can continue to learn from each other and expand and further strengthen our common action for inclusive economy, shared well-being, and integral human development. Friends, please join me in thanking our remarkable panelists for who they are and what they do to help create a united world.